Right on, writers. Hello, welcome to Books by Adrian, my author platform. This is Tuber Book Club, where we read and discuss and review books written by author tubers. And today's is a very special episode. I'm very excited. My Wi-Fi sucks, so I'm very sorry if this is laggy. Let me know. So, if you're new here, I'm Adrian Santiago, author and content creator here on YouTube, and you know, bad sleeper. So I apologize for the bags under my eyes and the slow speech and all that stuff. But we're going to try to make this work. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you are not a member of Tuber Book Club, go to the link in the description down below and sign up because it's fun and we do fun stuff here. We're going to be doing another book after this one in 2 weeks. So we'll be announcing the winner of the poll for the next Tuber Book Club book. And I'm very excited for that too. So stick around for that. Pardon me while I sip. I'm going to go ahead and introduce my one-person panel for today, which is the great and powerful Miss S.D. Houston. Shannon, hello.
Hi.
Hi, welcome. I'm good. I'm a little tired, but that's not your fault. You didn't do anything wrong. Welcome. How are you? Go ahead and introduce yourself to the masses and remind everybody what you do, where you're from, and what you got going on.
All right, thank you. So I'm Shannon, right under the pen name of SC Houston. I have a YouTube channel under the same name of SC Houston, where I publish content about writing and my self-publishing journey, which I actually have a premiere video tomorrow about my launch plan that I did for the third book that came out in my trilogy, Clash of Goddesses. And it was a really long video. It took me a very long time to edit it. And I think Richard yesterday was like, you should make it a premiere. It's long enough. Make it a premiere. So I thought about it and I did. I made it a premiere, and that's going to be happening at 3 p.m. my time Central. So.
That's awesome. I suggest you make everything a premiere. I have like 2-minute long videos that I make premieres just because I find their notifications to be more reliable than the regular, video uploads. Folks are always complaining about not getting notified. They get notified if it's a premiere. So there you go. Helpful tip. We are talking about Tracker by Bethany Votaw today, and we are going to be interviewing the great and powerful, and might I say prolific, Bethany Votaw, because holy crap, does she write a lot of stories. So let's get her in here. Miss Bethany Votaw. Hello.
Hello. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be
pleasure.
here.
Our pleasure. Welcome. Everyone, label your questions for Miss Bethany Votaw with a Q in the chat so I can find them and save them and ask them as we go. Bethany, everyone here knows who you are, but go ahead and pretend that we don't anyway, and introduce yourself and let us know what you got going on.
Hi, my name is Bethany Votaw. I write short story collections and mystery thrillers under this name. That's pretty much it. I do YouTube for fun. You can find me on Instagram, but yeah, I write a lot of books and short stuff, which you can kind of see with Tracker and whatnot. But we got some longer stuff coming down the pipeline, so that's me, and that's my co-writer Durzo.
Hell of a co-writer if he helped you on Tracker, because this is a really great story that I can't wait to sink my teeth into with you here. There are so many people in the chat though I want to say hi to, so let's go ahead and go through that really quickly. Barrett Laurie popped in to say hi. I don't know if he stuck around, but hi. JC Carpenter, hello.
Hi,
welcome. Miss Jennifer Brown, hello and welcome. Richard, of course, the ever reliable
Holiday.
Thank you for being here, Richard. Dude, Ben Pick is here. Love Ben Pick. He is awesome. Welcome, my friend. Who else is here? Is that everybody? Did I get everybody? No, I did not. Amelia, hello. I didn't even realize that you were here. Welcome. It's a moderately sized drink today. It's not my giant glass, and I'm already more than halfway through it. So, mind your business. Cool Gamer, welcome for being. I can't talk today. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Jesus, I need some sleep. All right. Who else is here? I think that's everybody. All right. I'm starting to see some questions, so I'm going to go ahead and start starring those so we can ask them in a minute. Miss Bethany Votaw, can you please tell me where Tracker came from, because I have a hard time imagining whether you set out to write a book about a tracker, a book about a detective, or a book about fathers and sons. Obviously, this is all three. What was going on in the inception of this story for you?
So this story was based off of the Smith River in Montana, and it's very, very difficult to get a permit to float that river because it's like a big fishing river, dangerous in the winter. People shouldn't go on it in the winter. So we went like late August. I was on a paddleboard, my husband was in a kayak. I mean, like dry packing, no coolers, nothing, because you had to be light because the water was so low. But as we were floating down, it was 90 miles, did 90 miles on the paddleboard. As we were floating down, there's this aluminum boat that is completely just wrapped around this boulder. Water's gone, like water level's so low, but the boulder is still like hugging the aluminum boat is like hugging this boulder. And come to find out after we get off the river days later, I asked one of the rangers about it, and he's like, oh yeah, some idiot decided to go down in the middle of winter, lost control, and just smashed up against there. They didn't make it out type thing. And I was like, wow, this river was beautiful and really easy in the summer, but what if you had to go down in the winter? And that was kind of like okay, I have the setting. How do I make someone like have to go down this? And thus the story evolved. So it's based on a real place, sort of.
You're muted.
Yeah, I can't hear you.
Thank you. That's fascinating. Miss Shannon, I was actually throwing it to you. Any questions to start off for?
I wrote down a lot, so I don't think we'll get through all of them. But did you plot out the novel? I think I heard you say it was a novella maybe at first, or something, a shorter story, and then you made it longer? Or no, it was longer and you made it shorter.
Yeah, it was significantly longer, probably double in length, and I cut it down. Yeah, I did plot it out in the sense that I kind of knew where I was going, but I didn't do like a hero's journey. I didn't plot like I do now. This is like my first like bigger project, so I just kind of had like bullet points of where I wanted the story to go, so I never felt lost, but that made editing a little bit more hellish, hence why I had to cut it in half, because we had a lot of extra stuff going on. But yeah, I plotted it in the sense that I kind of planned it, but my plotting now is a lot more detailed.
Right on. Yeah, I'm finding in my editing process that I did not plot as much as I thought I did. I really should have outlined a lot more. I really should have fleshed it out a lot more before I sat down to write. So editing has been kind of a pain. Words are hard. So I totally get that. That makes a lot of sense. So I've been watching The Old Man with Jeff Bridges. I don't know if either of you have seen anything of this.
I watched the pilot, yes.
He reminds me a lot of Clay. And so now I'm wondering where Clay came from for you, this character of this like old recluse who has this storied past and all these skills, and where did that character kind of come from for you?
Sort of, kind of based in reality, in the sense that I grew up in the Willamette Valley up in Oregon with a ton of woodland around, and every once in a while we would just see this hitchhiker going up into the hills, and my dad one day just felt compelled to like pull over, pick him up. He never does that, and turns out this guy's been a squatter for years, and he did not look it. And I was like, okay, like you just blew away any preconceived notions I had about what that means. And so he was a very closed off guy. His name's Curtis, and we dropped him off randomly on the side of the road, and he like had like a camp in the middle of the woods. And so I was like, okay, this is obviously a lifestyle. What would force someone into isolation, and what would force them out of it? And then I think at the root of it, every human has this driving need to be a part of something or have some sort of purpose. Otherwise, I think we would just dissolve into the ether. And whether it's something collective, great, that's usually why we have community and whatnot. But what if you've ostracized yourself or been ostracized? What is your purpose? And that kind of was the like, okay,
yeah,
we have this guy. And then it was like the why. Why is he ostracized from community, or why did he choose to walk away type thing?
Love it. Shannon, your next question.
At what point did you decide to kill Ava off?
that line, she didn't even feel and she was right, she didn't even feel the bullet. I remember where I was when I wrote that, and I remember like writing it and being like, whoo. I didn't plan on it because Ava was a very secondary character that honestly, first draft, I could have taken her out of the story and the story wouldn't have changed. So I had to have a couple of moments where she turned the story, made some decisions. So my dad was one of the first alpha readers, and he was distraught over Ava. And I was like, you know what? Me too. So for the second and third draft, Ava lived. And it didn't work. I was like,
you're missing that punch.
Consequences. Yeah. She was like my little Icarus, I described her as little Icarus, and I was like, and ultimately he fell. I mean, he smiled the whole way, but like he fell. And so that's just kind of, so like the final revision, I was like, I gotta. So I had to rewrite everything to make it happen. But yeah, I don't, it took a while. I warred with myself for a long time.
I think you made the right decision, in my opinion.
Oh, thank you. I was going to say, I had a bunch of Team Ava people that really lit me up over that.
Well, I really liked her. I would have loved her to live, but I think for the story's purpose, it worked to kill her.
I feel the same way. I liked her the whole time, and I kind of wanted to see her take on the sequel or anything like that. But once that Ava death scene happened, it hits so hard that you're like, yeah, that's how it has to. That's how it has to go.
I wrote book 2 featuring Ava, and it just didn't feel right. It just felt like I was forcing her to be a main character, and it just didn't feel right. And that was kind of like the thing that like solidified me as like, okay, like she has a point in the story. And part of me was, I didn't want to pull the woman in the freezer trope. Like, I didn't want to have the only female here get like killed off. And so I was like, but I don't want to do a disservice because I'm afraid people are going to be like, she's the woman in the freezer. And it's like, I didn't mean for it to happen. But I think that's like, I think she was also the perfect character to show like what being young and a go-getter can do, and how like,
and maybe a little naive.
Yeah. So that was the thing. And,
right on. Yeah, the whole killing characters off is hard. I won't say anymore. Richard says he loved 3 loves the evocative imagery in this story. Bethany is a master at fitting the imagery to the mood. Loved it. What can you say about that, matching imagery to mood and all that?
I feel like I've discovered part of my style is I personify everything, especially if there's like water involved. I'm like, oh, the water grabbed them, and it just like, I don't know. I think that's something that I might default to a little too much. So I'm watching that, especially with my short stuff and personification. But I also think water itself is such a powerful image because, religiously it's cleansing, but we also underestimate how powerful it is and how scary it is and how essentially it's a grave for some people. So I think that helps, and like kind of like leaning into that a little bit helps.
I always think about Bruce Lee talking about water and how it can flow or it can crash. It can break through rock and everything, and we underestimate it so often. Yeah,
like we go play in it like it's nothing, and it's extremely dangerous. And I think that's so interesting with human nature. We're like, oh my gosh, here's an island with an active volcano. Let's go vacation there. Or, hey, here's this huge mountain. Let's strap plastic to our feet and ski down it. That's just what we do.
Yeah, we're psychos. We're all crazy. Uh-oh. She said book 2.
Yes, I did.
All right. Ms. Carpenter is yelling at me, so let's go ahead and get to some of their questions real quick here. We will start with one of hers so she doesn't hate me. Here we go. Is there going to be a follow-up to this book? Do we get to see what Clay gets up to next? And since you did just say book 2, let's talk about that.
Yeah, there's a prequel that I finished. And it's been sitting for a little bit because it's really short. So it's almost like a glorified short story, but it is how Clay and Mason first met and their first interaction. So we are back like 2 or 3 decades. So it's a very big prequel. And then I did write book 2 featuring Ava. Didn't work, didn't like it. So I've replotted and restructured, and I have that on the docket to write. So I'm hoping in the next month or two, the prequel is going to be released for free on my newsletter. I already have the cover. It's called Blood Trail. And it follows Clay on another chase, sort of, and how he and Mason
I love the title.
Connect. Yeah.
I love it. That's so good. I love the title. Speaking of titles, what's the story behind the title of Tracker? I mean, I think it's kind of obvious, but
it's actually super boring. Tracker was initially just like my little like code word, because everyone like names their project something and they're like, I'll come up with the title later. And I kept saying Tracker so much people thought it was the title, and I was like, I guess that works.
Maybe it is. Yeah.
I was really lucky because there weren't any other like huge books with really well-known authors with just Tracker, because I was dumb and I like announced that this is the actual titles, ha 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 ha, without doing prior research. And then after the fact, I was like, oh no, I made a fatal flaw, but it worked out, luckily. But yeah, nice. It was just the nickname that kind of stuck.
One more before we go back to Shannon. Have you flown a helicopter or ridden in one? Your descriptions for Ava's piloting were impressive. I know the answer to this, but go.
Me too.
Yes. My little sister's a helicopter pilot, so she helped me with a lot of the beta reading and alpha reading, and eventually she was like, Bethany, you suck. Let me take you up. So she was a instructor at the time, so it was a 2-seater helicopter but had 2 sets of controls, and she could override the students' controls, which is good, because if the student freaks out or doesn't know what they're doing, you're still safe. So we were up there, she took me up, and like when you're in a helicopter, it is so different than a plane. Like, I kid you not, my brain was left on the ground. I was like, it was an out-of-body experience. It was so cool. But she was like walking me through what all of the controls did, and then she was like, okay, you have control. I was like, what are you talking about? And she's like, no, I need you to repeat it back to me so I know that you have control. So I'm like, I have control. And she's like, great. And she let go of everything. And at that point, I'm like, okay, I have the stick, I have the pedals, I have the whatever. And so I flew it by myself for like 10, 15 seconds before I like royally messed up, and she had to overtake the controls again. But yes, I've flown a helicopter for like a whole 10 seconds. So really lucky to have her there for that. So
very nice. And they are rotary blades. Right?
Rotor blades, yes, rotor blades. And I think that's the reason why I felt so confident adding that element of helicopter, because I kind of leaned into it once I realized I had such a great resource, because I was afraid I was just gonna, mess it up. And I did, but luckily she caught it. So that was great.
Personifying the environment and setting is an amazing concept. Indeed.
Until you overdo it.
Yeah, Miss Shannon.
You don't want to go into pathetic fallacy.
Yeah. Your next question for Miss Bethany, Shannon.
Do you see Clay as a redeemable character?
Ooh. Oh, so much thought in that face right now.
I'm going to think no.
I mean,
I thought she was frozen for a second.
No, man, that's hard. I haven't actually thought about it. In the end, I hope for humanity and people, and like my own faith is we are all sinners and broken, and we are redeemed. But it's just so hard as a human to look at somebody like that with that kind of forgiveness and redemption. And in the end, because I know Clay so well, it's like, and I know he wants to do better, do things different, or have done things different. And I think that's a redeemable quality, is that remorse. But I have to say he's kind of like a rock. Like he's stone. He's immalleable. And so I don't know. My short answer is a soft yes. I don't know. I don't want to think too hard. I'm going to like spiral into chaos.
A soft yes. The next book could be called Chopper.
I mean, it could.
I thought she was going to automatically say yes. No, she gave that some really good thought. I have another one starred in here. Where is it? Is there a deeper story behind the relationship between the sheriff and Clay? If so, and if there is a follow-up, will we get to know what that story is?
No, not really. I think the main respect is between him and Mason. Yeah, no, not really. You'll get to see more of the corrupt small town officer type thing, and like again, I got some flack for that, but it was just like, there's corruption everywhere. Like, there's...
Who gave you flack for that? That's like the most realistic part of the whole novel.
Well, no, but that's the thing, is they're like, small town stuff doesn't get into like the big issues like Chicago and all of these things, and it's like, there's corruption everywhere. There's corruption in the FFA. Like, you have poor leaders in power, and you know, you get this cascading effect. That's everywhere, every business. And so I was like, well, it is what it is. But in the future, we'll explore more of the like drug trade. So.
Sure. And that kind of answers this question from Miss Carpenter as well. What made you decide to make Adam a corrupt cop? It's just that kind of, you know, it's everywhere. It's rampant, or was there more to it than that?
Part of it was, I was really struggling with, so I guess I put a lot of like real life into this, in the sense that I think people can fall into the trap of creating self-fulfilling prophecies and using that chip on their shoulder to guide everything. So like, I don't necessarily believe in like the sins of the father like fall to the son. I think that sometimes people take on the sins of the father because, and so it was just one of those, you know, like, yeah, that was just like my line of thinking. I don't know. It also just kind of worked for the story. So.
Mm-hmm. What about the names? I find names very, very important. Adam, Clay, and we had Ava too, but Adam and Clay in particular, especially them being father and son. Was there anything going on behind the names for you there?
Slightly. Clay, I just wanted like a man of the earth. Clay sounded better than dirt or rocky. so that was it. Like, it was like, you know, you can be soft and malleable as clay. You can be used as a vessel. You can be shaped into something, or you can just be this hardened stone, Clay. And then
Smash
Adam,
somebody over the head with it.
It's true. And then Adam, we have this like, you know, the firstborn, you know, man of the world. And so this was Clay's world, and we see, you know, I don't know, that was just like the very small sliver. Ava just happened. Initially, Ava was named something else.
Actually, yeah. I was just going to say, Richard threw that in the chat earlier, and I was going to throw it up on the screen. Here it is. Ava's death hurt me even when she used to be called Casey. He just wants to show off that he got to read it so early.
Yeah, well, okay, so the reason I changed it from Casey to Ava is because my little sister, the pilot, is named Cassidy. And I'm like, oh, people are going to think I wrote her into the book, which, like...
And then killed her.
Yeah, I was like... this wasn't meant to be, like, the character based off of Cassidy, but maybe I should, like, create more distinction.
Yeah.
You would also have two C names, Clay and Casey.
Yeah. Well, and that was the other thing, is Mason used to be
two A names.
And I was like, Tucker and Tracker. Okay, let's change it up. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, usually when my friends talk to me about me being a writer and everything, inevitably somebody will ask, hey, you know, can you put me in your book? Can you put me in your book? And I always answer the same way. And it's like, if I put my friend into the book, it's to kill them. Yeah. The whole point of putting anyone that I know into my book is so I can kill them. Even if I love you with all my heart, that's what's going to happen. So, you know, just careful what you wish for. Americans can and do have weird names. Oh, yeah, we have weird names. Mr. Holiday with 2 L's.
He was waiting for you to call him Mr. Holiday. You put that.
Yeah. I wanted to put a little stank on it before I did, though. I see no problems or quick character images that come to mind. Rocky, that could work.
I do think it's interesting that you chose Clay. Even though Clay can be hard, most of us think of Clay as being malleable, where, you know, Clay himself is not.
Yeah. But, you know, he is in his old age, and that's another part of that Clay, right? It gets harder and harder and harder over time. So there's that element to it, too. I don't know. I really like the name Clay for him. I thought that worked really well. Yeah. What else? All right. Miss Shannon, another question for Bethany Votaw.
So I know that I knew the story about behind the helicopter, and you've said you've pulled a lot from real life and stuff, but what kind of research did you do? Because with Clay, right, he was born to a crack addict mother. So he was born with, I think you called him strawberry marks or something. Mm-hmm. So did you like research that? I mean, how did you come up with that?
No, I mean, strawberry marks, I think, based off of like my limited research, just that happens, like a birthmark or whatever. But like especially back then in like small communities or like ultra painfully conservative, narrow-minded communities, in a sense, they think that like their sins are passed on to their children. And so I just thought like, oh, like he has a blemish, she's gonna blame herself, because some people like are really like embarrassed by that for whatever reason. And so it was just like a physical, you know, difference in her child that she, you know, blamed for herself, and then she couldn't look at it. My audiobook narrator, though, he actually changed. If you listen to the audiobook, instead of crack addict, he says drug addict. And it's because he said, you know, crack wasn't invented way back then. And I was like, okay, cool. I don't know. So, not like a
I mean, crack's been around for quite a while, but he might be right. Okay. Now, you kind of answered this, but I wanted to see if there's a little more to it. Ava was such a breath of fresh air in the story. Is there a reason that you didn't incorporate her more into the story? You talked about versions where she lived, versions where she died and everything, but were there versions where she was a bigger part in the story? Is there a reason why you kept a smaller part?
Yeah, she and Mason had a really, really cool subplot, in the sense that Mason, I kind of alluded to it and kept it in the story, has a daughter that was on the autism spectrum, and he really, really struggles to identify with her. And so before I had to like chop down the book quite a bit, we got to see the struggle that he has to connect with his daughter. And so he really viewed Ava as the surrogate daughter, because he just could not connect with his daughter on the spectrum. And it was really great having Kent Sean as my alpha reader, because he's got experience with like some kids on the spectrum, and so he's helped me. He's like, oh, you portrayed that really well, that like lack of communication and like connection. And so it was really interesting, because I don't know why this happened. I'm fine with my dad, I have a great relationship with my dad, but I really like honed in on like the fathers and their failings. And so it was Mason really wanting to be this great father, not knowing how to do it, not putting in the work, and instead like pouring himself into Ava, who really soaked that up because she didn't have a great father figure, all of these things. And I ultimately had to cut a lot of that, because there became a point in the book where it was like, is Mason the main character or is it Clay? And I didn't need to have that back and forth. So I just was like, okay, I'm going to kill my little darlings and cut a lot of the stuff that, you know, was interesting, and I liked it, but I liked it and it was interesting, and it didn't really perpetuate the movement of the story. And I felt like it had to be a fast-paced book.
Bonus scenes.
Because what?
Bonus scenes.
Oh yeah, that would be good. Some bonus content. Oh, I like that. Okay.
A question for Adrian: was Bethany's portrayal of drug culture more realistic than my portrayal in Nightmare Tenant? Yes, 100% yes. Learn from Bethany Votaw's portrayal of drug culture, because she actually chose. Well, yeah, but you actually chose a harsh drug that has harsh effects. He made one of his villains a pothead, and I'm like, what is this? This doesn't make any sense. Research your drugs before you put them in there. Oh, hey, you are very welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you so very much. Hello. It's good to see you. Ken Sean, the man, the myth, the eyebrows. I have eyebrows too. Okay, let me check my notes real quick, because I believe I had another question that I am currently forgetting, and I got locked out of my iCloud. In the meantime, Miss Shannon, if you have another one.
Oh, sure. Did you see the birds in your story as like its own character?
That was my question. Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and I think I was struggling with wanting to really show the scope of the setting, and so I kind of took a step back and was like, if this was a movie, how would we start this? And that's what brought in that like first initial scene of like, we're above them and we're going to zoom into this little setting, and so we get to see the whole wide world. And then the birds, they felt like a fun little piece of how they would like interact with Clay. And then like to go even deeper, I mean, he's been in the woods for so long, and we get to see this in the prequel a little bit about Clay's inner life in the woods, and how that messes with you mentally in a sense. So Yeah, I thought it was so interesting how you guys were saying it was like a fantastical element, and I definitely didn't mean that to be, but I also did give them a voice. If I was going to do it like through like an omniscient perspective, the birds would have been like the narrator or something.
I akined them to the way that you kind of personify the landscape and everything. I thought those two things went very well hand in hand, and and as far as the cinematic sort of storytelling, I found the clay shooting Adam scene at the very end to be something out of a movie. It was cinematic. I saw it in slow motion in my head. So can you talk a little bit about writing that final scene between Clay and Adam, and how exactly you managed to make me feel like it was a movie?
I don't know, count it as too many Westerns, I don't know. But I mean, we always have this like hero at the mercy of the villain, and if it happens twice, we've got a problem. And so it was that moment where Clay was vulnerable, Adam took off, Clay found him, wasn't going to be vulnerable, and then in the end, like, it all boils down to like Clay has his own sense of justice, whether you agree with it or not. It's his own sense of justice, and he's not a man to stray from that, which is ironic considering like his past. But for the movie atmosphere, I don't know. I think especially, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think I got lucky, like, because this was like the first bigger book, and I think there was like a lot of luck involved, and the sense that this story had been building in my head for a long time. So I had a lot of time to really like picture what it would look like. Yeah, that didn't really answer, but that's kind of where I'm at.
Well, for me, I'm always striving for a cinematic sense in my own writing, and one of the things that I learned early on is that your shorter sentences are going to quicken the pace and be more actiony, while your longer sentences are going to kind of slow things down and make the reader live in that moment a little longer. And I think that was a big part of that too, the way that you just kind of went into like detail and just kind of sucked into that moment. Yeah, it was a huge payoff for the story. I loved it. I loved the ending. So good.
I think part of it is like your readers are smarter than you give them credit for, and then part of it is like when you're in the middle of like something intense, no one's gonna really stop and pause and describe how they can smell the like gunshot residue in the air and the blood. Like, that's something you're going to notice after when you're dealing with the repercussions. So I think looking at it like very analytically and how you would experience things sensory wise helps. But yeah, I think because this story came so easy to me, that's why I'm struggling so much with book 2 and even the prequel. It's because it's a lot harder for me to replicate this, the vibe and the tone. And I think it's just because I like wrote this really, really fast because it was just in my head for so long. I had the time and like desire to do it. And then I finally wrote it all and it was great. And now I'm like, how do I replicate the conditions so I can write something sort of similar to this again? So again, I think that's when the muse really does speak to you. I'm also the kind of person that I'm not going to sit and wait for it to show up. I've been chasing it for a while, so...
Shannon?
So I had this question until I still want to ask you, but we just interviewed an author for our self-publishing tips and tricks podcast on Sunday, and she had said something. I was like, oh, well, the answer would probably be hard. But she basically said it's hard to have a screen play, a script picked up by unknown authors. But I think this really could be a good screenplay. Am I saying the right thing?
Screenplay, yeah.
Screenplay, okay. Screenplay. For a movie. So I was going to ask you, have you thought about doing that? But then knowing it could be hard for unknown authors, I don't know if you've considered it.
I've toyed with it because one of the small presses that I am on retainer for as an editor, the owner also writes screenplays. So I've had experience like reading some screenplays, never writing, but he's gotten a couple of short films picked up. And I'm like, okay, either I need to buckle down and write a screenplay, or I need to hire someone to do it, or I need to like pitch this book despite the fact that it's not a screenplay. It's something that I've thought about because I've had a couple of people say it would be a great movie in the sense that it's a small cast. It would be cheap. The most expensive part would be the helicopter. But like, you just got to find a river, and then you got your very small cast of characters, and there you go. Like, and like, those are all things that I've never thought about. But funny you should mention it. I've thought about it. I've had a couple of people bring it up, and then I've had the privilege of talking with a couple of people. One of my husband's patients, she used to edit books professionally for like big name, like celebrities. Like, she's ghost written books for them, but like, she knows her stuff. And so we were talking about why I want to self-publish, and I didn't even go for an agent because I just knew that self-publishing is what I wanted to do. But she was like kind of confused why I wasn't getting an agent for other representation. She was like, you can get an agent just for, you know, film. And I'm like, I had no idea. And so it's something that I'm looking into, something that would be really cool. I know it's like a small fish in a big ocean, but you never know.
Yeah, you do never know.
My comment when we talked about this a couple weeks ago, as soon as I finished reading it, I was in my room reading it, and I went out to the living room my husband was at, and I looked at him and said, this should be a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's like the best compliment, because I think that'd be so fun to watch. Like,
I agree. I think it would make a great movie. Now, Richard suggests a miniseries, and I only think that would work if you were including the prequel and the sequel all as part of the story. But this story tracker, it has movie written all over it. Like one big, like maybe 90-minute movie, maybe a 2-hour movie, because it moves at a clip. It has movie written all over it for me. Very cinematic. I can just see all of the like sweeping shots of the woods and the snow and the river and all that stuff. The cabin as like this location towards the end is just, it's got movie written all over it.
Yep. That'd be fun.
Aphrodite Lee says, seriously, I make all my novels into screenplays, all of them, and I shoot short films all the time. If you want to do it, go for it. I agree with her, man. Especially me. I even plot like the story structure of my stories after the screenwriter's Bible story structure, because I want it to even feel like a movie, and not just feel like a movie, but to be easily adaptable into a movie or a TV show. If somebody wants to you could take one of my chapters and turn each of them into like an episode of a show or whatever. I do that on purpose because that's where the money is. The money's in movies and TV. So like, I want to write books, but then I can like sell it to a studio later, you know?
That's the dream.
And if you get picked up or chosen, I assure you, you can shoot it yourself. Get a drone, you're good.
Yeah. Or just hire somebody. I read it. Yeah, that would be cool.
Start a Kickstarter.
Yeah, right. Go for it. Yeah. I'm out of questions. Shannon, do you have more?
That was my last one.
That was your last one? Mm-hmm. I believe we'll take a quick moment here to reveal what our next book is. What do you guys think?
Yes.
All right, so we had a poll. It ended last week. Tuber Book Club members exclusively voted on it, and the results are... I am beyond excited to read this. I had a feeling
it was going to be Ben's.
But you know what? It was really close, especially between your pick and the third pick that we have. I'm blanking on them right now.
Morgan.
But they were both neck and neck the entire time. Falling Through was always a little bit in the lead, but those other two were like neck and neck the whole time. So I have a really good feeling for both of those books for the next one. What did I just do? Oh, here we go. Okay. Hey, dude, we're all so excited to read it, man. We all are so excited to read it.
I've already read it, but I'll read it again.
You're gonna read it again.
You're such a voracious reader. Do you just consume books like air?
I don't know how she does it, and she's in streams like every day. Like, how do you live your life?
I need like a lesson in like time management and content creation from Shannon.
Ben got picked by the Tuber Book Club. Oh, Richard.
You've been picked.
Currently reading that now. Nice. We'll read it again. I can't wait to read it. I haven't started yet because I just don't have enough time to read as much as I would like to, but I'm very excited to dive into it. We're going to do the first half of Falling Through in 2 weeks. 2 weeks from today. So I'll remind everybody on my Instagram and on the newsletter if you are signed up for Tuber Book Club and all that good stuff.
Yeah, let us know what that halfway mark is.
Oh yeah, like I think literally I believe there's 38 chapters. Ben, go ahead and let us know how many chapters is it. I believe it was 38. I looked into it. And
Bethany, didn't you said in one of your previous videos that you wanted to get his book just for the cover?
I did. I got it. Yeah, I was trying to find it, but yeah, I have it.
I remembered that.
That cover is
I'm
such
amazing. A cover by person. I have your trilogy. I'm waiting for everything to finish up. It's on my Christmas list. It's so beautiful and so gorgeous. Actually, it's on my birthday list. So I send a list of all the books that I want to like my husband and family and stuff, so they know what to get me for my birthday.
Yeah, I do.
But yes. Also,
so we have 38 chapters. I'm sorry, I cut you off. So we have 38 chapters. Chapters 1 through 19 would be the first half. So that's what we're doing. We're doing the first 19 chapters 2 weeks from now. And 2 weeks from that, we'll do the other half. And then we'll do an interview with Mr. Ben Pick after that. Very, very excited. Yeah. Speaking of covers, I just last night sketched up a very, very horrible idea for a cover and sent it to a possible artist that I may or may not be hiring if she can pull it off. So I'm there.
I was going to ask if you guys had visions for your covers or if you did what I did, which was give a synopsis and some keywords and vibes and then just let the cover designer do their thing. Because I can't do that.
I don't know which is going to be better. I gave her my pitch because there's 3 major aspects of my novel that I want to showcase on that cover. One being that it's a murder mystery, one being that it's a sci-fi world, and one being that there are fantasy elements. And so I need to encapsulate all 3 of those things, all 3 of those genres into one image on the book cover. So I came up with what I think. Yeah. I came up with what I think can pull that off. And if I don't feel like it looks like it is pulling it off, then I'm just going to be like, what's your idea? And just let them kind of roll with it.
Gotcha.
And that could be hard with the sci-fi too, because they say sci-fi, you need a spaceship.
Yeah, you need a spaceship or you need, But the world that I have created in and of itself is so sci-fi that even if you don't show any of my hover cars in it, the world itself, you're like, oh, look at all this technology everywhere. Like that's kind of,
So I did hire a cover designer for my first book, and I told her 3 main things: green because it's based in Ireland, and they are they feel strongly about the color green. I wanted some type of Celtic symbology somewhere, and flowers because all 3 of the girls' names are flower names. And,
I love that.
And of course, I didn't end up using that cover. I made my own.
So you made those?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh my gosh, I could never.
The third one, I did a time lapse and put it on my channel too, so you can see.
I'll have to find it. That's so cool. I could never.
Aphrodite can't wait to show us her new cover. Yeah. Covers everywhere. So exciting. Yeah. Private messages. Show us your cover. I'm probably going to be one of those that even though I'm going to gear up towards a cover reveal, all of my closest friends on here are going to see it way before that because I'm not going to be able to. If it's good, I'm not going to be able to hold back. Guys, this was quick and sweet, just like Tracker.
Yeah,
it's on brand.
I like short stories. What can I say? Even my full novel turns into a novella because I can't handle a full one. I guess I don't know.
Speaking of which, it looks like your next short story collection is going to be pretty boss. If you want to go ahead and tell people about that and what might be coming down the pipeline for you there, Miss Bethany Votaw.
Oh, you're a beta reader. I was like, how do you know? Thank you. That's a lot of faith in me. Yeah, no, so I have a short story collection coming out soonish. If I can just get my, final deciding stories because I've been overthinking it for too long. Hence the beta readers telling me if what I'm doing is working. But it's called Broken Wings and Buried Secrets. And instead of being the horror dark, it's more the complicated interactions between relationships, and it's more bittersweet and melancholy, some magical realism aspects, but I tried to put some humor in there. hence why it's bittersweet, because sometimes it didn't work. But that's where that's at. So working on finalizing that, and then getting some final illustrations. But I have the cover, and that's also fun. So that'll be coming out shortly. I've been plotting my other full-length novels. I'll have a vlog sometime showing you my descent into madness, trying to figure that out. But until then, you can look forward to the another collection.
I'm very excited for it. What I've read so far has been great. I wish I had more time to dive further into it, and I'm going to the moments that I can fit in. But I'm so excited for it because so far what I've read is so good. We're all loving the title. Bethany Votaw, stop overthinking things. You are amazing.
I'm like, I can't tell if this is clever or just cheesy. And right now, I don't know. So that's why I'm also like not mad about my beta readers, because I was like, take as long as you need, because that means it's more time that I don't have to look at it. So, yeah, I think I'm stuck in this analysis paralysis. I think everybody gets that sometimes, where we really are overthinking because we want to put our best foot forward out. And I think I'm also like, it's not as good as my first collection, but it's like, it's different. How do you compare like a banana to an apple? Like, they're very different, and
they're both sweet.
Yeah, they're both fruit. There you go. So, but yeah, that's what's on the pipeline.
Love it. I'm so excited. Do you have any idea roundabouts when we might see that? It's okay if you don't. I don't want me to.
I mean, initially it was going to be months ago, so probably October.
October.
Probably, yeah. I'll probably do it first week of October or something if I can get it done. So.
Sometimes you just got to think it's done. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Clever or cheesy, either way, just go with it. It's going to end up being incredible. Sometimes cheesy is clever, and those things are not mutually exclusive.
Cheese is a palate cleanser, right? I can put it in between each story. It's fine. Again, we're gonna keep talking about it, and I'm gonna keep overthinking it. But yeah, that's coming. I have a couple of other stuff plotted that I just need to sit down and write. Again, that vlog chronicling my descent into madness, over which story to follow next is coming soon. So there's that.
Well, this has been a pleasure. I learned a lot, and I can't wait for the prequel and or sequel and your short story collection.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much for gracing us with your presence and with your answers to all these questions. Everybody in the chat, thank you so much for being here and for all of your questions. You guys made this so much easier on me. Like I said, I'm very tired, so my brain isn't really at 100%. So I apologize, but I appreciate that you guys picked up the slack for me. And yes, you could say it is Votawsome, which it is.
Thanks for hosting, guys. This is always so much fun. So anytime. Love it. Thanks, guys.
Your next Votacular novel.
I've not heard that before.
Yeah, that's a new one. All right, y'all. Thank you so very much. Shannon, thank you for being here. Go ahead and say your goodbyes to everybody before we head on out, and then I'll give it an opportunity to Miss Bethany after that.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody, for coming today. It was really great talking with you today. Bethany, I loved your novel. I'm glad I had a chance to read it because it's not my normal wheelhouse for genres that I read. So I'm really happy to read that. Again, I have a premiere coming out tomorrow at 3 p.m. Central Time, where I'm laying out my marketing plan, my launch plan for my third book. And then this Friday, I have my normal productivity pyramid sprints. But I do have a guest host with Richard Holiday, and there's also going to be some updates and news about the AWC in 2023.
Awesome. Miss Votaw, can you go ahead and say goodbye to the people at home?
Hi, my name is Bethany. Thanks for, reading my book. I have links posted other places and stuff if you want to check out what's going on. But yeah, thanks. I love this little community. It's so great. Okay, that's all.
It truly is the best. Richard actually put the link to your newsletter in the chat. So go ahead, everybody, click on that, sign up to Bethany Votaw's newsletter. And I'm climbing the pyramid. All right, y'all. As for me, you guys are already here. So if you're not subscribed, subscribe. If you're not a member of the Tuber Book Club, sign up. The link is down below. We're going to be doing Ben Pick's awesome novel next. And when we're done reading his novel, we'll vote on the next one and so on. So this is going to be exciting. Also, Richard Holiday is going to be joining us in the next 2 weeks for the Ben Pick episodes. So that should be fun. Can't wait to hear the word spreadsheet 9,000 times. All right, y'all. Here we go. Sign up or
You
die.
gonna call him Mr. Holiday the whole time?
No, he only gets one, and he already got it. I love you, Richard. You're awesome. No, you won't. Why are you lying to? You're lying to yourself and everyone around you. Stop it. Okay. All right. That's enough. Thank you, everybody. Write on Writers, and we out.
Bye.